Okay.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the very first show of Technology Envoy. I'm really happy. I have some amazing guests with me today. And I have Leija from the Potentials podcast here. She's kind of my moral support and some technical support. So I'm very happy to have her on. I also have a dear friend of mine, Carmen Miller, who's on with us as well, and she's going to reveal something really cool. And our guest today, our special guest today, is Dr. James Schwartz. Hi, James, and thank you for coming on the show.
Well, I'm glad to be here. I'm just getting used to using Zoom this way with the pictures and everything. I've never done this way before.
Yeah, well, thank you, and thank you for sharing the pictures with us. I actually know Dan Willis, and that's I've had contact with him a few times, and that's kind of how I first met you. And I saw you on with Dr. Sala as well with Dan Willis, showing this technology that we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
Really
Well,
happy
Dan,
to
that's
talk
my good
about it.
friend. So,
Yeah,
yeah, we communicate a lot between the two of us.
yeah. So it's called your company is called Flux Power Technology.
No, the name of my company is Noah Tech Research and Development. That's my company name.
Okay.
And I have a charity organization, which I started back in 1976.
Wow.
It's called Noah's Ark Research Foundation. That's a nonprofit foundation.
Wow, that's really cool. I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
So it's your
Yeah.
website then that's Flux Power Technology.
Well, I'm a little bit old-fashioned, I've been on the internet ever since it started, way back in the early 90s.
Yeah.
My phone is from back there and everything. I've been around a long time. And
Yeah.
I got kind of for several years I got kind of annoyed with the internet because of all these people that I see on there claiming free energy with the most weirdest devices I've ever seen in my life, and they don't even know what they're talking about, you know.
Yes. Yes.
So I dropped off for quite a while because I put most of my time into my research.
Great. And today you're going to show us.
I've been researching Nikola Tesla now for over 40 years.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Definitely.
This is my latest prototype. This one right here. This is just a small building that you see here. I think it's about 8 by 5 feet. It's not very big.
Okay.
It's sitting out in the middle of my lot in the back, and on the left side of the screen, I got 6 chickens that lay 6 eggs every day. So
Awesome.
That's awesome.
And on the right side of my screen, I got homing pigeons.
Oh,
And the reason why I did that was because for so many years, the dark web has been saying a lot of bad things about me, like my technology is going to kill people and animals.
yeah.
It's dangerous. It's going to end all kinds of things bad about me there. But I kind of just ignore it. It doesn't get to me. Anyway, from there now, I'm going to go to my next one. Let's see if I can hit the right one. Now, once you open the door, as you look inside, the first thing you see in the bottom left-hand corner there is an air conditioner.
Yep.
Because when the door is closed and I'm running all four of the Bitcoin machines, plus my generators running in there, powering my office and my workshop and everything, it gets pretty hot in there. So I need an air conditioner in there.
Great.
Now, And the
How many
reason,
watts of output is it?
well, this one here has a capacity of about 7,000 watts, but
Okay.
we keep it down to between 4 and 5 hundred watt.
And that's enough power to power up most
Because
houses.
of the fact that it overheats very easy.
Right. That's what the air
Yeah.
conditioner's
But
for. Yeah.
right. And now I have an air conditioner in my office as well. So it'll actually run both of those air conditioners. I have a refrigerator in my office. I have a large screen TV in there for when we're relaxing. And there's a couch in there that opens up into a bed when I have guests. Uh,
Cool.
so
Self-sufficient.
they got all the pleasures of Netflix and everything, all of that. And now I got two computers set up in there. One is on the internet and one isn't. My research and my work is on a separate computer that's not connected to the web.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
I get terrible allergies to these yellow flowers that are
Mm.
in
I
our
have
neighborhood
allergies
here. They're
Yeah.
blooming and they're flying all over the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I'm allergic to those things. So anyway, I have
feel
to
you.
stop every once in a while, blow my nose and sneeze. Okay, now if you look in there a little further above the air conditioner, that's my computer, or rather my plate box in there.
Right.
That there has these 6 plates that you see in there. You see
Okay. Yep.
them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 consists of smaller plates in there. And each one of those has 6 coils, flat coils inside of them. Now the circuit board that you see here, that circuit board was engineered and designed by my son at NASA.
Wow.
Because well, see, I used to have a very small board in there that wasn't much bigger than a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah.
But people coming to visit me was always taking pictures. So my son decided, Dad, that's not good, you know. So in his neighborhood where he lives there in California, somebody put one of those big projector screen TVs out on the sidewalk for junk. Well, all those circuits in there, and that's where we put our small frequency generator to generate the frequencies to send to the plates.
Okay.
Now, that way, nobody can see it and take pictures of it.
Right.
I had a weird Japanese electronics guy come to me a couple of years ago, and he took some pictures and he made a lot of comments. He said, "This circuit board don't make any sense," he said. And so my son was successful. He kept
That's awesome.
yeah. All right. Now I've got a piece of aluminum sheeting on the top. Can you see my cursor moving?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, okay. On the top, that's just a flat piece of aluminum. And the reason why that's up there, it stops some electromagnetic field on the top, something. It doesn't mess up my cell phone or anything.
So it's a type of shielding. It's a type of shielding then?
Yeah, it just shields it so that I can, because I also had computer connection in there, and I put my computer board up there, my on the top, and whatever I have on the top is not affected by the electromagnetic field. It's just of the screen over here. We're going to go from there. to here. Now I have a setup over here. You can see all the outlets that I have in there.
Yep.
Now, when I send the frequencies to the plates release their electrons, and the
Okay.
electrons come out and they go here, over here to the converter here, and it changes it anywhere from 9 to 15 volts DC flux, and it gets it down flat. And when it comes out going here to the transformer, it's been reduced to 12 volts with a DC current completely removed. It's now AC going out there.
Right.
And I have AC coming from the plate over here going out. Now there I have 120 volts AC. Now down in the bottom you can't see it here, but there's a little shelf right there, and there's a 240 transformer there.
Right.
You see, because my Bitcoin machines, 2 of them are 240 and 2 of them are 120.
Right.
So I have to do some changes there. Now those
Yeah, so
Bitcoins were given to me by a man that Elon Musk introduced me to.
Oh, wow.
He has a lot of Bitcoin machines, and he was
Hmm.
curious if the form of electricity that I'm producing, would it work on Bitcoin machines? So he gave me 4 Bitcoin machines, and that's what you'll see later in there.
Wow.
And I showed I've been running them for 2.5 years, but he didn't give me a new one. He gave me some electricity. But since my electricity is free anyway, I didn't care about that. And that's the oscilloscope that you see up here is
Yeah.
how I do my testing.
Okay.
And I have a controller on this thing. I keep it down in the daytime. I don't want to go over 56 to 60 amps out.
Okay.
Because behind my house yard there's a main street called Indian School Road. And on the other side of the street, you got these high poles going up there that those are the circuits for the grid system up there. That's like 300 and something thousand volts up there. You know.
High voltage lines. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a high voltage line. So I have to be very careful. I don't want to produce any more power than necessary. Because if I increase my power plates and my electromagnetic field goes all the way across the street and touches theirs, since
Yeah.
theirs is very high power, it's going to come back to mine and burn up all of my stuff.
Okay. So that it will interact. I
Yeah.
heard you were buying another property to have more space to build bigger setups.
Yeah. Well, we have a secret property. It's way out in a horse property. It's about 30 minutes drive from my house, and that's where we're
Okay.
going to build our 1 megawatt.
Wow.
Hopefully, we hope to start it by maybe next month or the month after that. I build it.
Well,
I got it, and I'm ready to turn it on. We're going to have a kind of a party there, and I'm inviting Stephen Greer over with his
yes.
crew, and
Yeah.
he's going to be there, yeah, to turn on the switch.
Huh.
So we got 1 megawatt output.
Well, that's
And
awesome.
now
I'd
we're gonna
love to have you guys on when you do that, or have a show about it later when you do
yeah.
that.
Well, I don't want to do anything until after we finish everything here, because I'm afraid that the grid people are going to influence the UL approval people, and I don't want
Right.
that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
see, after I let it test it, the big one, for 6 months, running Bitcoin machines. Oh, and the guy that gave me the small machines, he's going to bring me enough machines out there for 1 megawatt.
Wow. Holy cow. That'll be interesting.
Now we're going to be making real money because, yeah, instead of that,
Yes.
those that 4 I've got makes about $13 every 6 months. So it's not really worth the trouble. And
Yeah.
that's all I want is a safety approval. I don't want
The
anything else. Uh,
the UL,
that's
the
why
UL
at the
approval.
big property, I'm gonna have yeah, all of my animals will be close around the generator. And UL requires that you have white rats around the generator. And every month you have to dissect one rat and take the liver and put it in one of their small containers that keeps it cold and ship it to their laboratory.
Right.
And that that's to see if I'm putting out any harm field. Uh,
Yeah.
but I've already proven that at my house by having the chickens, and I got 2 ducks. I got homing pigeons. None of them ever got sick or anything. And it's right in the backyard by my house, you know, and we're still all alive. So all this garbage you see on the dark web about me being dangerous is a bunch of bull.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And for those that don't know, you're
And by the
also a
way,
medical
I don't
doctor too,
call
right?
my yeah, I don't call my yeah, I don't call my technology free energy because
Okay.
I'm kind of the after being on the internet so long and doing research for over 40 years, uh, I've definitely proved that there's no such thing as free energy. Energy has to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
And we have decided that we figured out where it's coming from.
Somebody has to pay
The
for
winds that wrap around the earth 24 hours a day. Yeah.
right.
So we're connecting to the solar winds and the Earth's electromagnetic field. And that's where we're getting free electrons.
Okay. I have a question. I know that you said that the further north you go, the less it works as well from the equator. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Uh, at the equator, you mean?
Like for example, I live quite far north. I'm at the beginning of the Alaska Highway. So would that work up here?
Yeah. Well, the further you go north or south, the less the less it puts out. Okay. And if you got right to the solar pole and the northern pole, the south and the northern pole, it wouldn't work at all
Okay.
because you see,
I'm
yeah, you don't have a proper connection to the Earth's electromagnetic field and the spinning of the center field of the Earth.
right.
Uh, it's a very complicated. Complicated research that I'm building now with new special aluminum alloy that's got a lot of elements in the aluminum is going to be bigger than the ones you see in here and
Okay.
have more output. Uh, and I'm going to have a switch on it so that I can use all 6 of those big plates. They're going to go all the way across the street, and I'm going to connect to the high voltage. So I can never turn on more than one of those plates.
Okay.
One of those new plates will do the work of the 6 that you see here.
Wow. So they're that much more efficient with the new
Yes,
design.
the graphene plates are going to be much better.
So graphene plates, is that where you're?
Now let me go a little further to the next one. Now, when I move over a little bit, you can, right there you can see my transformer. That's where I get my 240 right there.
Right.
So I have 110 here and 240 to run my Bitcoin machines. And all the wiring and stuff hanging on the walls and stuff, that's just my uh it's a storage area for when I'm doing testing and all. So
Yeah.
my wires are all there. And up in the ceiling up here, you'll see a lot of outlets. Now, originally, 2.5 years ago, when I turned it on, the whole ceiling inside, every single one of these 2x4s going across, 6 of them,
Yeah.
all had light, 100-volt bulbs hanging on them, just like you see right there.
Wow.
And
No
I was
kidding.
lighting up all of those, plus run my office and the air conditioner. And down on the floor, that you'll see that light down there on the floor. Well, that's
Yeah.
that's 500 watts.
Yeah.
Heavy duty. Uh,
Halide light,
that
eh? Yeah.
yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
and as you get up further up here, I got a lockbox up here where I keep my connections that go to my computer system. So if I want to bring my computer screen uh, and my small computer out here, I can run it while I'm inside
Okay.
there so that I can send information from there to my computer in my office. Okay,
Right.
now let me see if we go ahead. Now here, there's no wires going basically into the generator itself. There's
Right.
wires coming out of it. Now out the uh, right near the front right here, if we go back to here on the left-hand side of the screen here, if you go down there, you see the wires coming out. They come out
Right.
the side right here. And those go outside and they're grounded to some, they're not really a ground. I've got these special pipe that's got a cap on the bottom and a cap on the top, and then drill a hole in the top, and a wire goes down inside, and they're filled with a gel, a special gel. And
Oh,
there's
wow.
6 of them in the ground, 4 feet in the ground.
Okay. That's interesting.
Now, each one of the plates that you see here, okay? Now, the reason for that is uh, uh, um, my technology is the same as lightning. Now,
Right.
lightning will build up in the sky, and you can't keep it from building up. It keeps going and going and getting higher and higher until it strikes the ground.
Right.
Okay. Well, my technology basically is the same. If I didn't have those tiny wires
Oh,
going outside to equalize, then everything would burn up. It
right.
would, I couldn't shut it down.
So those are kind of controlling it from cascading, like you said.
Yes, they're
Wow.
controllers. All right, now let's go back to where we were there. Now there's the 6 wires going out to the ground. Now, an interesting thing happened about 6 months ago. Um, we got a couple of engineers and a billionaire came there to look at my generator. First, he didn't believe it worked.
Yeah.
Then when he got there, his engineer told him it's definitely working because there's no, you can see all the way around it, no wires. Okay.
Yeah.
And and then one of the engineers says, well, maybe I'm sending it wirelessly, the power.
Right.
So he goes to his toolbox and he takes out a small fluorescent bulb and he brings it inside
Yep.
and it doesn't light up. Okay. So that basically tells you not transmitting the power. If I
Right.
was, that thing would glow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Just like if you went out across the street, electricity and their electromagnetic field. All right. Now, so those wires are going outside. That keeps it from snowballing.
Okay.
Now,
And there's a separate wire for each plate.
there's where they go through the wall down there, the bottom
Yeah.
right there. See them. One wire for each plate. Now, this one engineer from Singapore, he says, he asked me if it's okay if he could use his own amp. I said, go right at it, you know. And he puts
Yep.
it, probe the wires and all the wires, and he wasn't getting any readings. Now, I'm an electronic expert, and I know that you
Definitely.
cannot put that heavy a wattage through those small wires. It's impossible. They're speaker wires, okay?
Yep.
But anyway, I didn't want to embarrass him. Now, there's one more wire that goes out of my unit down there. There's a green wire coming down
Yep.
here, and it's going a hole through there. And outside the building, there's a water faucet out there, copper water faucet. And I've grounded it to the water faucet. Now, that's to
Oh,
keep me from getting some very severe shocks from my generator. Okay.
right.
So that's all the wires. The 6 wires there and 1 wire for the ground.
For the ground.
Everything
Yeah.
else is suspended. It's completely suspended.
How long will these plates last?
Okay. Now let's see where we go. Okay, now there's the, well, these plates here, as long as I put an argon in, you notice I got it closed. Okay. And the reason
Yeah.
why I close it is I don't want oxygen in there. Okay.
Okay.
So about once a month, in the left-hand side of the wooden box there with a plate, so there's a hole drilled there, and I got a screw in there to cap it off. So once a month, I take the screw out, and I get my argon tank of gas there, and
Yep.
I screw the connector on the end that I used to fill the football for the kids next door, you know. And I
Yep.
stick
Yep.
in there, and I put argon inside, and I keep
Oh,
pumping it through until it comes out the other side.
great.
I do that once a month.
Just because it's an inert gas,
Now,
you're
if I
giving
don't
it.
do that, oxygen will eventually start cracking. Yeah, we'll start cracking the plates. See,
Oh, okay.
oxygen is very detrimental to these kind of plates. These are ceramic plates, and
Oh,
they get
interesting.
tiny hairline cracks in them if you get too much oxygen around them.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Now this is where the power goes out that you see right here. I've got a remote control on it, which you see hanging right house. I can turn on the outside lights that light up the whole back of the property. It's a
Oh,
remote
wow.
control. Yeah. And this is
Cool.
an emergency switch here to shut it down in case we have a sun flare that is detrimental to my plates.
Oh,
I can
okay.
shut it down.
Right.
But so far, I haven't had any sun flares that are bad enough to affect it. We just had one here recently, a few weeks ago.
I was
Right.
going to say that.
But
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
hardly done. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's
Okay.
good.
And then from there, that's the final one, the outhouse.
I love it.
Now it's more than a joke. Is now on our big property, we have 3 acres there.
Yeah.
And on the back back part of the property, I'm going to have a small generator just like this one. It's going to be a duplicate of the one I have here.
Okay.
Now, and that's what I'm going to use to run all the security system on the property, the gates, the lighting, and all of that.
Wow.
Uh, and plus, that's not big enough to run my machine shop that I'm going to have. I'm going to have a big machine shop
Nice.
and a laboratory.
Wow. Very cool.
So that one will run off of the 1 megawatt. And the
That's cool.
1 megawatt will be inside of a building that looks like the old red barn.
Okay.
Nobody's going to know what's in there.
What physical size would the 1 megawatt one be, just in general terms?
Well, I could build it in an area of uh, let's see, about 30 feet long, 20 feet wide, 20 feet high,
Okay.
right around there.
Yeah.
It's not that big. And now that's with the old plate technology.
Right.
Now I'm going to be building it with the new graphene technology. So the building is going to be about 8 times the size of the one you see here, my
Okay.
my backyard. It's going to be a lot smaller. And because of the high voltage, it's going to have to be very heavy wire. So
Right.
I I need a little extra space in the building, so I got operating room to get to the wiring and everything in case I have a malfunction or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Definitely.
what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have the generator will be set up in a room in a barn. Now the barn's gonna be about uh 60 feet wide, 80 feet long, and about 25 feet high because it's
Okay.
gonna have a hayloft in it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna keep my horses in there also with the generator.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
So anybody passing by on the road would look at the property and it's just a normal horse property.
Right. Yeah. So in under the radar, like you like to say.
Well, it's more than under the radar. See, Arizona, just like most states, if you're doing research and development in something like electromagnetics, which could be dangerous, you see, they want you
Yeah.
to be in a commercial property with a lot of room around it.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
And you got to file for special permits and everything.
Right.
I'm where I'm at, I don't need all those permits and everything. Nobody's going to even know. And
Yeah.
there's thousands and thousands of horse properties here in Arizona.
Yeah. Um,
Now,
I was gonna say
eventually,
for, oh,
yeah,
sorry.
eventually, I hope to, when I get my UL safety approval, we want to start putting in power generators. Uh, uh, Probably one of the some of the first places that we will be going will be down into uh, uh, South Africa, down in the
Oh,
Ivory
wow.
Coast area there. They need electricity down in that area, and
That's awesome.
there'll be other places around the world where we can go. But
Wow.
the United States, uh, you're all the big countries and all. See, the people don't have any idea how the grid system works. They use it,
Right.
but they don't know anything about it. The grid system is leased from the government. They bid on it. You know, it's a 50-year lease. And that
Okay.
way they have permission for the poles on the streets, the transformers to transmit the power to everybody's house and collect money. You
Right.
see, that's how it works. The grid system doesn't generate any of its electricity. It buys its electricity from the coal-fired people, from the
Exactly.
Like hydroelectric, like up here, we
nuclear
have
plant.
hydro
That's where they
or
get their
nuclear, yeah.
electricity. They buy it and resell it at a profit. Yeah, yeah. So it's not going to be easy for us to get in that. And I'll tell you a little secret here. I want everybody to know this.
Yeah,
In about 20 years at the most, but I'm thinking more like 12 years. From 12 to 20 years, the whole earth as you know it is going to be lands. Now, the reason for that is they're the cheapest electricity in the world. They're cheap. They're cheaper than I can make it. You see, they're cheaper than anybody can make it.
okay,
The only other people that's going to be making electricity is maybe me and a few others. It's got special places that we'll go that the grid people don't want to go.
right, right.
Now, this is the answer to a question I got when I went down to India. When I was in India, one of the people there that came to visit, he was from Japan, a very rich man, and he's thinking about funding us with our research. And he said, "Why are we visiting such a poor area here?" And I says, "Well, it's to show you something, okay? These people that live here, you notice there's no wires on the street, but in the you see, that's why we will always have poor areas in every country. Now, I've got a solution to that too. Uh, that's going to be coming out here probably way before I even finish my 1 megawatt. It's called a pull gen. Uh, most people aren't familiar with it, but I've told a lot of people. And it's about the size of a shoebox.
Okay,
And basically, somebody's trying to call me and it's a scammer. Okay, when it gets the real small generator here, where is it? It's in there. I'm not giving up. Anyway, you can see my picture. It's about so big, about the size of a shoebox.
okay,
Okay. Now it's going to sell all over the world at about a maximum of $30 or $35. That's
oh,
all.
wow, okay,
And it's only for the very poor districts of the world because
yeah,
80% of the people living on Earth does not have electricity because they're too,
wow,
okay.
wow,
So now they can have one of these. Now it'll only put out 300 watts.
okay,
Now I've had this technology way back about 20 years ago when I built the first one out of a transmission from a car. And we
oh,
had to
wow,
hoist it up and put it on a pole because it weighed about 50 pounds. And it
okay,
had a spike on a gear on the outside off of a bicycle with the spokes with a chain that goes over it. Now the way it worked was I had it about 20 feet in the air,
yeah,
and it all these gears turn to small generator, and
Okay.
it will put out at that time about 150 watts. That big
Okay.
heavy. Okay. Now, and what powered it was, it had a 60-pound weight connected to one side of the chain. You pull the weight up to the top, and when you let it down, as it goes down slowly, it generates electricity. You
Oh,
see.
okay.
Now,
Wow.
now, so back then that technology wasn't very practical. But here, as soon as LED came out, that made a big change in it right there.
Right.
Now you can light up your whole house with a lot less than 300 watts on our house with
Wow.
small LED lights. Okay,
Yeah,
and they get off just as much light as a regular bulb does. So you see, that's how we're going to give poor people electricity.
that's amazing.
Yeah. Uh, Now, we had a think tank study of this, and one of the first things that came up is, if these people are so poor they can't afford electricity, how are they going to afford to buy one for $35? Well,
Right.
uh, I visited the Philippine poor areas, India, and lots of other countries. And the way they can have things like say, a bicycle for their kids or a washing machine, they get it through these lenders in the neighborhood. See, a lender will come to your house. He will deliver that $35 generator to you and even hang it up for you. Okay. And you pay him so much every month. Okay.
Okay.
Maybe
It's
only $1 or $2. But
sure.
instead of $35, they wind up paying about $85 for it. You see.
Right. Yeah,
Okay, but they can still have electricity, you see, and
exactly.
they can
Yeah,
afford that. So that's going to be my gift to the world,
that
is
is
full
amazing.
generators. Um, I don't, let me see. I got one right here. Let me show you a drawing. You see, that's one of the drawings I should have put in there. Um, oh, here it is, right here. Okay. Okay. Now, can you see it?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Look at that.
Okay. Now it hangs up by the ceiling. It comes in a package. You hang it, you hang it up there, and then the sprocket outside, you put the little plastic chain over it, uh, and you attach it to a plastic bag, which you put about 40 pounds of rocks or dirt in. Now, when you pull it up to the top and you release it, you've got approximately 30 minutes of electricity.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
That's amazing.
Now, people in the think tank study, uh, somebody brought up the fact, well, nobody wants to pedal a bicycle or anything to have electricity. Well, this is not like pedaling a bike. You just pull it up
Correct.
to the top and you don't do anything for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And for electricity or for a small LED radio, or they even have small LED TVs, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
see, people will pull it up there.
Oh, exactly. Using gravity to bring it down. Yeah, that's an
Right.
amazing
And
idea.
I'm kind of hoping that I'm I'm in the market now. I'm looking around for a young engineer that has graduated from mechanical engineering that
Okay.
I can hire, and I'm going to put him in a room in there, and uh, I got a printer. He can print the gears. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, he can, and I want him to design a generator that's will give out more than 30 minutes instead of 30. If we can get it up to 1 hour for one pull, that'll be better.
Yeah, more efficiency.
That's
Yeah.
not mechanical engineering like that is not my expertise.
I'm actually a mechanical engineering technologist. That's what I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, by training.
But I had a flashlight I wanted to show you here. It's about the size of that, what you see up there. Uh, but I don't know what happened to it. One of my people has gotten it and probably playing with it or something, and then moved it around somewhere. And so it's not anywhere in here that I can see in my office.
Okay.
Yep.
James,
Yep.
we have something really special for you today. Carmen has
Okay.
brought I'll let Carmen describe what it is exactly, but she's
What's
brought
that?
something
No.
that Nicola Tesla actually I don't know if he built it. I think his assistant might have built it. But Carmen, maybe let James know what you've got there and show us the world what we've got.
Hi, James. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah.
Can
Okay.
you have a look at what this is in front of you here where my picture is? Here I am.
Well, I've seen that one and a lot others that are very similar, and the basic idea, yes, yeah, I'm familiar with it.
Yeah.
That's not one I've ever tested. I've never tested.
Right. Well, this two-phase version of Nikola Tesla's first induction motor prototype
Yeah.
was very short-lived because he went on to multi-phase, polyphase after that, and that
Yeah.
took on more. So this was really a very short window.
Well, the one that one there looks just like about the same as the one in his museum. It looks very similar. There's a Tesla museum.
Yeah, they might have built a replica of it there.
Yeah.
I don't think they have an actual one there. There is a later version that everybody refers to as Tesla's first, but that is a three-phase motor, and that's in the British Museum. At any rate, this was a prototype that was actually found probably where it should have been found, because it was found at Cornell University, this prototype. And we know who worked at Cornell University was Nikola Tesla's very good friend, Professor Anthony there, Professor Arnold A. Anthony. And Professor Anthony was started the first electrical engineering department in the world at that time. And Tesla wanted his endorsement on this motor. So you know the Corum brothers, Jim and James Corum, James and Ken Corum. Are you aware of them, the Corum brothers? Did I cut out on you there, James?
You might have cut out. Others.
Internet connection is
Stable, yeah.
unstable, it says. Yeah, I don't know whether it's coming from your side or mine.
I think
Right.
it's yours. Yours has been cutting out a lot.
I just wonder if you're aware of who the Corum brothers are? Jim and Ken Corum?
Yes, I've heard of them on the
Yes,
internet.
and
Yes.
Mark Safer, who wrote a couple of books about Tesla. They all are in agreement. Cameron Prince, many people are in agreement that this motor could indeed be one that was hand wound by Tesla's assistant at the time for his patent number 382279. And so we're really excited to be further proving the provenance of this. Yeah, and it's just kind of a good way to remind people what Tesla's actual contributions were in the field of the War of the Currents and what he actually contributed, because he was still never given his proper credit.
Well, what
As
a lot
we
of people
all
don't
know.
realize is that all these the newest electric cars on the market, especially some of Elon Musk, his engineers are using a lot of Tesla's technology to engineer new motors
Yeah.
for these cars.
Yes,
Uh,
I know that.
yeah. Well, you see, this is good, but uh, I don't work so much in that field because even I've been to what uh, his tower was and everything. I scanned the ground. I've done the research of the ground there. I located the antenna in the ground at 126 feet. And then
Right.
yeah, and I published it. Anybody wants, I'll send them a copy of the both reading, the ones that was done by somebody else and mine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you sent me that copy,
Mine goes a lot
James.
deeper because of my
Yeah, do you
technology.
know who this guy is? He's right now
Yeah.
in Thailand. This guy's building a big replica of Wardenclyffe. His name is Ernst
Yeah.
William Vandenberg. Do you know who that is, James?
Now that offhand, it's not familiar.
This guy, he wrote this book called The Battle for Wardenclyffe that just recently came out. And it's a story in letters
Story and
that,
letters, huh?
yeah, that Willem put together, or that Ernst put together, that is all the correspondence that they could find between Tesla and JP Morgan over the Wardenclyffe Tower. And also he's made a deep dive into all of the microfiche that was available. So he would be interested in that
Okay, well,
report, because he's trying to put together the actual real.
just out of curiosity, I'd like to get care of it. Okay. I've got, you can't see it, but my office is filled with books. So
Yes.
No doubt.
anyway, show it on the screen again. I'll get a picture of it.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Wait a minute, it's too small up there now. I can't see it. You were bigger before.
Can you make it bigger, Ed?
Oh, I think you just have to talk when, yeah.
Oh,
Let
okay.
me see
You
if
got
I
to make
can-
me talk while it comes up. Is that
You know,
Yeah,
better?
I just
We might
need
be able to
that.
send you a link to it later.
Well,
Oh, I
that's okay.
certainly could.
You can just send me the name of the book, and then I can get it off. I'm sure Amazon has it.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a link to it that we
Yeah.
can.
Yes, very good. Actually, I could get Ernst to probably send you one. He's sent me a couple for sure. But it's been very interesting reading his deep dive into Tesla and JP Morgan and how really
I'd
JP
like to compare it to some of the stuff that I have on tests. Because I've got
Yes.
some pretty nasty letters from JP Morgan to Tesla.
Oh,
And
wow.
I haven't found anybody that has those.
Oh,
Where did you find
interesting.
those, James?
It was a big fight between the two.
Yes, for sure. That's what this describes. It's I could almost tell you verbatim almost every letter now. I've read this book a couple of times.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he definitely, even in this last letter, he breaks Tesla's heart because he's basically in the middle of having a nervous breakdown. That's literally what this
Oh yeah.
chapter is
Wow.
called. And the last letter that he wrote to Morgan was, well, basically he says, I found another investor. I believe I have found a man generous enough to advance $100,000. It is Mr. Frick, whom you well know. What has passed between us has impressed me, with the feeling that he will certainly do it if I can only frame some kind of proposition in harmony with you, meaning JP Morgan. So he was concerned about his original investment. If Frick were to be involved, Frick wanted to make sure he didn't have any, that he had his blessing, that he had JP Morgan's blessing. But of
Yeah.
course, JP Morgan said, oh, go ahead, take Frick's money. But he made Frick already lose business the minute that he found out that he expressed interest, sending a clear message, basically. Looks like, so Tesla, he says, my dear
Wow.
Mr. Tesla, this is JP Morgan writing to Tesla. This is right at the end of where he ruins Tesla, basically. My dear Tesla, I have received your letter of the 18th of December, and in reply would state that I am not willing to invest any more money in the enterprise. I should be very glad if Mr. Frick would like to join you. You could have no better associate, and I should be very glad to work with Mr. Frick in the matter, putting in what I have against his $100,000 to which you allude. And his footnotes, which are Ernst's footnotes, say, this looks like Morgan approves of this proposal, but it did not materialize. What I read in other sources is that Morgan required reimbursement of his $150,000 without giving up the patent rights. Other than that, Morgan also started to oppose other businesses that Frick had interest in, thus sending a signal to all possible investors to stay away.
Wow.
And then Tesla only begins to write. They could only decipher from a 6-page letter. How upset was Tesla if he was writing like this?
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. They could only decipher this much of 6 pages. So the footnote here says this handwritten letter in reply spans 6 pages, the rest of which is illegible. Dear Mr. Morgan, I thank you 1,000 times for your very kind letter received this morning. You could not have given me more pleasure if you had included your check for the amount I need. Pardon me for this annoyance. I want him, and then I don't know if it trailed off for 6 pages, but they didn't get any more. And then they go on to a nervous breakdown, which I could continue reading, but it's worth buying the book. So there you go.
That's so
That's
cool.
my plug for Ernst and his contribution to Tesla. But I've done a deep dive on this motor, and I think it's really good to have as many Tesla enthusiasts endorse this motor just by virtue of the fact that we give credence to Tesla's contribution. Again, to most people will automatically think about Elon Musk and Tesla car motors, which is a great legacy for Tesla, but it hasn't been really bold and underlined that this that Tesla was the one who gave alternating current to the world. He was still, after that, never taught about in schools, and is still not to this day. So I believe, like James, that you give back to the people, all the people, especially the most neediest people first. Otherwise, you don't get the equality back in balance, and that's the fastest way to get equality and our ecosystem back in balance. So I 100% agree with Dr. Schwartz about that. But I also believe that we could resurrect the interest in Tesla and not have him have this madman legacy, talking to Mars, etc., and really ground him in his rightful ownership of having given the world really ultimately every motor that we ever made.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So that means from every single thing we use that has a motor in it daily. And people don't really understand, again, just like they don't understand, how the electricity comes into their house. They also don't understand how much it has not changed in 130, 40 years. And what should have come out, which was a cleaner way to harness the wheelwork of nature, ether, over unity, whatever you want to call it. I agree. It's also not free energy. Nothing is free, and everything is subject to entropy once it's built. But I believe that there is ways to harness the wheelworks of nature, such as what James has done, and others working on, like the thunderstorm generator, and Bob Green, you're having worked with charge cluster technology, hearing Dr. Schwartz talk about it's basically lightning. Well, that's what everybody's common denominator seems to be with these technologies, boiling it down to that. Even what's going on in Egypt, and by harnessing the electrons out of the ether, out of the ionosphere.
Yep.
So I'm really grateful for this opportunity with all of you guys today too. And I'd like to be able to chat again sometime if Dr. Schwartz had some other time when, you know, we're not all on the spot and I could share a little bit more information. And I'd love to have his endorsement just to put on the list for the record, as all of us Tesla historians, experts, and also people who care about Tesla, that, you know, and his legacy, that I call it a conviction. I almost have a life sentence over this type of technology, and protecting inventors and encouraging inventors in this field has always been something very close to me. So I encourage you to keep going very strong and hard with, you know, Dr. Greer and whoever else you have going on your team there. If you'd like to be on our list of people associated with having given their thumbs up to this motor, we'd be happy to have your participation. I can send you the details.
Yeah, and I was with Carmen when she got the information from the Belgrave Museum. Remember that in summer of 2022? I was there. I was standing there when she got it. It was amazing.
Yeah,
it was an endorsement.
Some letters that were proving that Professor Anthony had in fact asked for this particular motor to show at an event in Boston after the 14th of May, after which the patent would have been assigned. So it was built for patent, the very first patent on the rotary induction motor, which is patent number 382279, which had to be sub-patented off of its very first application, which was 960, ended in 960, which was rejected because there was too many components. So it had to be broken down into its subcomponent parts and then reapplied for. And then therefore that was then granted in pieces. So it took a little bit longer because the first patent but anyways, this was the most important part of that piece, and for it to have survived, not very many artifacts of Tesla's have survived. So if there is even a remote chance that this could be Tesla's, and we have people in Hollywood who want to do DNA testing on the motor, I think that's I think it's a long shot, but Cameron Prince from Tesla Universe would like to do some DNA testing. So we're hopeful that there might be a piece of skin somewhere in the, stuck there. Who knows? It's a long shot, but we're going to now fully examine all the material science available at the time, what he possibly could have retrofitted, every screw, every marking, everything on it to try to eliminate all the objections that may have. But it is really, it's a bit crudely built, but we are also suggesting that Tesla built this when he was at his most destitute, when he was digging ditches in the spring of 1887, when he had the least amount of money, while he was looking for new investors. And this was the little, tin can, the shoe tin can motor that he demonstrated back at the time. And he had the other one, which was more the cylinder type one that you see that is, also two-phase, but it was a further iteration of it, a more advanced iteration. And he talks about both of them in his famous talk in 1888 to the electrical engineering group at the time, right? So his famous talk.
And the story is pretty interesting too, because Carmen and Ray were at Pawn Stars. And that's kind of how this all happened. You can maybe talk about that a little bit, Carmen?
Oh gosh, now we're talking how I obtained this motor was really, I think, a bit of divine intervention. I was visiting Las Vegas that summer for a birthday party, and it was my friend Ray's birthday, and he's quite a gentleman. And when we were in this pawn shop, we actually bought a few other items. We bought a gold scale, and we bought a old gas pump that was restored by Rick's Restorations.
Oh, cool.
And while we were bumming around the store, this gentleman came in. Well, actually, they said, most of you people have to leave, blah, blah, blah. And we said, well, we're buying something. So then they said, okay, you don't have to leave, but you have to sign, that you'll sign a release that you'll be on TV. So just stand at this 10 feet of counter space and don't turn around, blah, blah, blah. Well, I could go on and tell you quite a story here. Actually, it's quite funny. Everybody who goes in that pawn shop really goes there for the Chumley T-shirts and the Chumley shot glasses, and really they don't care about the pawn store per se. They just want to go see if there's one of those guys, if Chumley's there. Chumley's never there, blah blah blah. But we happened to come on a day they were doing filming, and we didn't try to get there during a day during filming. I didn't know this motor was going to be there, and so we walked in. We both went to this Coke machine at the back of the store, an old Coca-Cola machine like every pawn shop has. And in it were $6 bottles of gold and silver Pawn Stars, their face on it. It was $6 for a 25-cent Costco bottle of water, with US, with their logo on it. So just having said that, to set the stage, my friend Ray has no idea who these Pawn Star guys are. He's just a real honest to goodness customer. We're buying a couple of things, and he crumples up the bottle while they're doing a sound check, starting this episode, and hands it to Rick when he walks in to be on set. Rick look and tells him to throw it in the garbage. Rick looks at his crumpled bottle. It's never happened to him because everybody takes the bottle home for $6, right? Ray just crumples the bottle, hands it to him, and goes, "Buddy, can you throw that away for me? Garbage is right there."
That's awesome.
Oh my God, you had to be there. It was so priceless. The guy wanted to throw us out of his store so bad. I'm telling you. Rick wanted, but we were paying for something. Otherwise, I swear he would have thrown us out. And then, and then we hear, and then we turn around and we're looking at the counter, not knowing who else is going to come in. We see that Chumley's entered the building too, and they've set up a few things. Like I said, doing the sound check. We're just sheepishly standing there now. And the next thing you know, this guy walks in and he goes, "In this bag, I have Nikola Tesla's first AC motor prototype." And I said, "What?" And the hair on the back of my neck stood up, because I grew up with Tesla my whole life, and out of all women in the world, I'm up there with being like yourself. I've been learning about Tesla for the last 50 years since I was a child, and I'm 58 now. And my dad, I sat around my dad's coffee table since I was 8 or 10. So it's about a good 50 years. And I've done a deep dive the last 15 years. But not in, everybody has their own specialty area. And I was doing the research on this particular motor and 1888 world history, kind of like what Ernst was doing. So I asked Ernst to go through my research papers to see if he would also, in fact, agree more or less that this has a better than less chance that it could, having ticked all the boxes. I've almost overcome every objection that we have that this motor was, anything other than Nikola Tesla's handmade prototype by himself and Anthony Seghetti sometime in the spring of 1887. Yeah. So that's my story. And this is our motor, and this was who built it. And we're happy to be part of this meeting today.
Exactly. And the other reason I wanted to have Carmen on here was Carmen's father actually, and he mentored me. He actually saw the Nazi flying bell. So when we go to to anti-gravity, and James, I know that you told me that you, when Paul Laviolette wrote Secrets of Anti-Gravity Propulsion, you told me that you spent a bunch of time talking to him. And I didn't even know that you were friends at that point. And can you talk a little bit more about Paul and all of that, James?
Well, he was always so busy, you know. Um,
I think Ed, you
but
wanted me to mention.
we talked about anti-gravity and pyramids and things like that. You know, he's
Yeah.
very interested in the pyramids.
Oh, okay. That's
So
interesting.
I've been doing that the last 13 years with Christopher Dunn, who wrote the book The Lost Technologies of Ancient Egypt, and most recently the Giza Power Plant Theory, Lost Technologies of Ancient Egypt, and most recently the Tesla Giza Connection. So I am great friends with Chris and have
Yeah.
followed his research and supported his research since before 2013. My dad always talked to me about that we all have always had electricity on this planet. Some people discovered how to use it in a different way, but we've always
Yeah.
had it here. Nobody invented it. So it's like the wind or the waves or whatever. It's
Or gravity.
yeah, or
Yeah,
gravity.
gravity. Yeah.
Even gravity isn't what everybody thinks it is. And so the biggest expert on magnetism and electricity can't tell you what it is either, just like they can't tell you what gravity is. We're all still debating these things. So there is no unified field theory other than the Big Bang, which, and you know, some people believe in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wrong.
Right.
Subquantum kinetics is actually probably the closest theory that we
yeah.
have,
Right.
you know,
But
and
it's
that's
not
yeah,
generally accepted, is what I'm saying. There
exactly.
is no generally accepted theory.
I'm actually part of the it's called the Model G Vortical Ether Research Group, and it's the guys that met with Paul LaViolette for like 5 years every weekend. And in fact, we had a call yesterday. It was 5.5 hours, right?
Yeah.
And we are Justin and Brendan, who are both PhDs and work directly with Paul. Yesterday, we decided that we're going to write a paper in Nature and Scientific America to do with subquantum kinetics and everything. So they're working on that, and we're just inputting a little bit of stuff. But I was asked into the group 6 months ago. It was a real honor to be asked in. We're also part of the Starburst Foundation, which are connected to it because Brandon is the CEO of the Starburst Foundation, and that was Paul's thing. Paul was an astrophysicist and a quantum physicist. So he looked at the very big and the very small. And that's where subquantum kinetics comes in.
I was sitting in my office right now. His book would be on the shelf right behind me.
Yeah.
Next time I'll be set up in my office. I just wasn't. I had my vacation rental people here, so I had all my stuff in a different area.
Yeah.
My materials. So anyways, I didn't have quite access to I was just getting access back to my level of the property when you asked me on short notice to participate. So the next time I'll have my library at hand.
Yeah.
Well, but yeah, I think you wanted me to mention that Nick Cook had come to interview me after my dad died. And then, yeah, I think there's lots of common ground, Dr. Schwartz, James,
Stan Meyer. Let's talk about Stan Meyer because he worked directly with Stan Meyer. Explain what.
Oh yes. Well, I had attended a conference in Switzerland, the Swiss Association for Free Energy conference in 1986 or 7. Or no, pardon me, 1989. Pardon me, 1989. Schweizerische Arbeitsgemeinschaft für freie Energie. That was what the conference was called. So it was the Swiss Association for Free Energy, and Stanley Meyer was one of the invited speakers, as was my dad. But I went and spoke on behalf of my dad, and so myself and Jean Manning and Stan would actually have breakfast every morning, and I brought my trusty little MC60 tape, recorder. And Jean took her shorthand notes every day. So between Jean and I, we have a full recollection of his whole story. And it was just 3 months before he died. And it's all in his own words. Yeah, his whole story.
Yeah, because James, you worked with him.
Yeah. Well, Paul and I had a kind of a very strange relationship. You know, we both believe the same thing, that words are okay, but uh, action is what really counts.
Yeah.
And that's why we concentrated on uh, things that we had enough information on, enough research on to get something actually accomplished. You know,
Yeah.
because I've seen all kinds of Tesla motors and all that kind of stuff, but uh, what good are they now in today's world that we live in? You see, these are only examples of things back in that he had a lot of knowledge back in that time. But nowadays, you know, with our supercomputers and all our information and everything, we've already gone way beyond Tesla and all those guys, you know.
Oh,
And
yes,
so
I
that's
agree.
that's why I try to concentrate on that, you know, thinking outside the box.
James, didn't you go to Colorado and find some crates of Tesla's notes buried in the ground? Or was it?
Well, yeah, and at his one of his old laboratories out in the desert area there, Colorado, uh, 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 he buried 6 crates there, and
Wow.
we found them over what, about 30. Now it's been 38, almost 40 years ago. We found those crates there.
Wow.
It was
What
kind of,
happened to that information?
you know, and of course there's so much damage to them. That's the problem. You know, the notes and everything. There was a lot of stuff in there about war and new weapons and stuff like that. So, you know, uh, it turned out it didn't have anything to help me with my frequency research.
Oh no. Okay.
You know, my frequency research was cause and effect.
Right.
We build it. If it burns up, we learn something from it, so we build another one.
Yeah.
Where is that material now, though? That would be important for lots of other researchers.
True. Yeah.
Can you speak to that,
Yeah.
James? Where that material is now? Where are those boxes of material now?
Well, we still have all the crates and everything. The crates were so damaged and everything, you know, that they're just, the wood is all damaged and everything. They had he wrapped them in burlap, you know, this burlap type
Yep.
material and everything.
Oh.
And even though they don't have much rain there, you know, it was a lot of damage to them. And so many of them, I'd say 80% of them, the writing is smeared. Uh, it got old, you know, uh, and the ink, the old ink pen and pencil he used 2 ways to write. We found stuff in pencil, his notes in pencil, and some that he did in ink. And the one in ink was already starting to fade to the point
Mhm.
Couldn't they do some
where you could
restoration?
hardly
Because
read
look
them.
at the Dead Sea Scrolls, for
So
example, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, they could.
We have the technology now to be able to restore that. Absolutely.
It would be interesting for history sake, you know,
yeah,
down the road. Yeah.
Would you be interested in having someone restore that, James? Could we get access to it?
we've already tried that. We had an expert there from Japan, spent several months there in the Philippines at my laboratory, and the damage was so bad that very few of it was of use at all. Very few.
Right.
And
So
How
it
long
doesn't,
ago was that?
he had all the latest equipment and everything, you know.
How long ago was
Uh,
that? Was that recently?
was that?
How long ago was that? Was that recently?
No, no, that was back in uh, 1996
Oh,
or 97. I think, no,
we've
yeah,
come a long way
96,
since
back in
then.
96.
Yeah, they might have
I-
something now that would,
I'm sure we have something now compared to
Yeah.
then. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, he's he done a lot of the old scrolls and stuff from Egyptian time and everything. He was good. He was one of the best, you know.
But that was in the
Okay.
90s. We've come a
Yeah.
long way since then,
And
technology
but the
wise.
material you're working with going back to Egyptian time was a lot better than the material, the paper and stuff that Tesla used.
Yeah.
You see.
true, yeah,
So
truth there.
and
Well, I guess the question does just boil down to, do you still have access to those boxes?
oh yeah, we still, well, the boxes themselves where we threw away a lot of the pieces. I kept the hinges and I kept the lock hasp on it and some of the other metal parts. So we kept those metal parts. But the box themselves were really, really bad. So we had, except for a few pieces of wood from each box, that's all we kept.
And
Because
the contents?
what's that?
And none of the contents have survived?
No, the contents, we still have most of the contents that didn't fall apart. A lot of them just shredded, you know, they just went to little pieces. You
Yeah.
know, as soon as you tried to unfold them, you know, they fell apart. But the
Great,
ones
yeah.
that we could save, saved them. We still have them. We put them under plastic inside of a photograph photo library book, you know. So we
Yeah.
did save some of it, you know.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
Yeah.
And there
Has
was a
that
lot of
never-
stuff that's just
Yeah, it would be interesting if you could scan
gibberish in
that.
there. He used to, yeah. No, if he's seen something unusual, like uh, one of the things that I read there was about a horse when he was younger there, and then some people took pictures of the horses there, and in New York City at one time that was a big problem in New York was the horses going around with wagons to clean up the manure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All over the city, you see, one day. And they showed the car, and there's a box right there, and it had 64 of these rods, the same rods that I figured out how to build.
Yep. Yep.
And after that, the next day, the car was gone. No more news. Even the news agencies that carried the information, it disappeared.
Wow.
And I've that's always been a mystery with me. Why did they want that completely disappeared? I understand what happened between the Tesla and JP Morgan. You see, when Tesla told JP Morgan, oh, he could get another financer, you know, JP Morgan just laughed at that because see, he knew he controlled everybody.
Yeah.
Nobody would go against if you had a big businessman or something that had a business or something. He's not going to finance somebody that would cause him big trouble from the money people, you see. So,
Mhm.
and now we live in a society that's the same way. The people with all
Yeah.
the money make the rules and they control everything. And if they want
Yeah.
something to disappear, it's gone.
Yeah. Well, they blew your car up in Japan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a serious business, that's for sure.
Um,
And we thank you for continuing to be a warrior and trudging on
Well,
with all of
they
this.
made the world Trade system made sure they stopped us in Japan from manufacturing those rods. You know,
Yeah.
I spent 8 days in a Japanese jail waiting for my chance to see the judge. You know.
Yeah.
And we found out that those two guys sitting way over there at that desk, you know, that with no name tags or nothing, they were controlling the judge.
Oh, wow.
So
There-
there's more to the cartel than people are willing to accept. Now
Mhm.
everything that and you and I used to know and hear about when we were younger. Now, that's why I stay to myself. You don't see me all over the internet except what bad people want to publish about me. You know, I'm gonna blow the world up with my electromagnetics and all of that. Uh, and if God wanted us to use electromagnetics, you know, we would have been doing it before. I get that one all the time too. Uh, but you see, everything is changing.
And did you
now.
say
And I
Stephen
can show
Greer
you
is
right now,
shutting down?
the laws of physics are great, but the laws of physics needs to be changed. They need rewriting them because there's different things now than back when they came up with the laws of physics.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
And
Yeah,
if I strictly believed in the laws of physics, I would have never did what I did. Never.
That's for sure. That is absolutely for sure. Well, James,
Because it told me it was impossible.
yeah, and thank you that you trudge forward with impossible things, but we know that all of this stuff is real technology out
Yeah.
there. Yeah, for sure.
Well, there's a lot more out there. Um, because I'm a retired medical doctor,
Yep.
I spend a lot of my time in my frequencies for curing people, you know,
Right.
now in several places, and they do work. They make your cells, because every cell in your body is a brand new one every 7 years.
Right.
So when your body replaces those cells, if with my treatment, it replaces a little better cell.
Right.
You see,
Yeah.
so that helps you. If you start young enough in your life, you know, I started back when I was in my uh, 60s, middle of my 60s, started treating my cells and everything. And it made a big difference, you know. I'm already in my 80s right now, and I do everything that all my workers can't do. I don't
That's
need the
awesome.
plate. I don't. They need.
I was gonna guess, I was actually gonna guess 71. I was gonna guess
Yeah.
71.
I thought even younger than that.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was hoping, but you know, lifetimes are short no matter how you slice them.
Oh, thank you. I love you.
Yeah, I thought for
My
sure.
birthday's in 19. Yeah, I was born May 1941.
Oh,
So
Wonderful.
I was too young to understand Pearl Harbor or any of that, but I've been around long enough to know a lot of things.
Yeah.
good for you,
And,
James. Well, it would be a pleasure to meet you sometime. I'm often in the Arizona area. Maybe I'll get a chance in my lifetime to meet you.
Well, you're welcome to come visit me anytime.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
likewise,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
All of you.
Okay, you should give my make sure she got my Flux Power Technology email, Gmail.
Yes,
Yeah.
We're gonna put that in the description too. We're gonna put your information in the description.
Yeah, for sure. And James, we'd love to have you come back. There's a whole bunch of stuff that I didn't get a chance to talk to you about, especially the Philadelphia experiment and all the electronics, because
Yes, there's a lot of things I'd like to tell you too.
yeah, I
Yeah,
know a girl, Rebecca Rose, and she was part of the Montauk project. So
Yeah.
I'm an expert in the electronics of Montauk and of Warden Cliff a little bit. So there's much more that we need to talk about. We'd love to have you come back on again, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
well, I'm running a lot of tests and stuff now. I'm working on these new plates. But when I got more time, I'll be calling you privately so we can discuss things, you know.
Yeah,
There's a lot of things out there, you know, that's very interesting.
Yep.
I'm sure you've heard of the med bed.
oh
Yes.
yeah, yep,
Okay. Well, everybody that I know that's heard of it has never seen it.
yeah,
And
Exactly.
to me, you know, I'm one of these people that believes in action instead of words.
Mm.
you want to see it. Yeah,
Well, you want to make it.
You know,
that too. Yeah, and
yeah,
They call them, they have well, I would say it's not quite a med bed yet as to what you're referring to, but they have a energy enhancement system, an EES system that is
Yeah.
just now being kind of promulgated on the, out there in the internet world, YouTube and everything. It's being promoted and disseminated, and they're basically just glorified PEMF beds, so pulsed electromagnetic field therapy beds, with a little bit of scalar and sound technology combined. That's
Yeah.
basically the service they offer. So they put the mat on a anti-gravity chair. It's not real sophisticated. You're told to bring your own blanket and pillow, and they call that the energy enhancement system now, which is like also they claim cellular regeneration and certain things. And I'm sure Dr. Schwartz could lend his expertise to speak more towards what the different frequencies do in our bodies. But pulsed electromagnetic field therapy or biomagnetism has been around for quite a long time, and it's been proven to mend wounds and heal bones when other methods don't work. And I think that's the first iteration of med beds that we're going to see, and
Yeah.
at least I've seen one of those. Hopefully the ones like Dr. Schwartz is referring
well,
to
if you want to really get down to the
will
truth,
come up.
yeah,
Mhm.
the truth of the matter, the truth of the matter is 80% of the stuff on the internet is not real. Okay, it's a
Yeah.
bunch of crap. Okay, so don't base too much on all the stuff you read. Paul and I used to talk about that a lot. You know, he even went with me once to examine a so-called free energy device. You know, it was
Okay.
putting out more than was being put in, and it nothing but a fake. You see, so that so don't put your faith too much in that. And if you want to learn the real truth that's going to change the world as you know it right now,
Yep.
one of the things you should be able to do is speak Hebrew to begin with. Okay, so you
Hmm.
can study the Talmud.
Leja, don't you speak Hebrew?
No,
know,
my daughter Lindsay
and
does.
yeah,
Okay.
She speaks it
right.
fluently. She would love
Uh,
this.
you,
Yeah.
you, I'm sure you've heard the story of the walls of Jericho.
Yep.
And how
Oh, yeah.
the Israeli army, that's the only way they can destroy the walls, with a big
Absolutely.
horn. And that horn
Sound.
sent a frequency out that just caused that rock to disintegrate and fall apart.
Yep.
You
Yep.
see?
Yep.
Now, that's where I got some of my information about everything that can store them, is with those frequencies. So, and that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Some of those frequencies, if we're able to learn them, mankind will be living 1,000 years again, just like in the Bible.
Yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah,
Mhm.
I agree. Didn't you have an experiment where you had a block of wood and mice that ended up going through it because the
Oh
proper
yeah.
frequency was there?
Well, we wanted to study gravity. Okay, I spent a lot of time going to Egypt and studying the big pyramid there, and some of those blocks and all I've seen, and there's no way that we got the technology to cut those and to do that. You- No way whatsoever. But everybody wants to know, how did they move those blocks 500 miles down the Nile River? Okay. Well, I know how they did it, but I just can't do it yet. But I know how they did it. They were using frequencies. They would
Yeah.
inject frequencies into the stone, and the stone would lift up and it would float, and they could
Yeah.
just push it. You see?
Yeah.
Then they could put it on their boat there, and they could take it down the Nile to the site where they're building. And the Nile River right now is not the river they used. There's another river that's
Yeah, he's correct.
Yeah.
gone now, but they found it underground. Yes, okay. That's how they came, moved back and forth. Now, what we did was, I bought one of those scales that they use in the supermarket. They put the whole big crate on it. It's a great big heavy cast iron scale with the sliding weights and everything. So
Yep.
you can wait. Okay, I got me one of those, and then we made um, a wooden tub, kind of square one, and we poured cement in it, and we got it up to approximately 100 pounds. Okay, block. And then after it hardened, we put it back on the scale, and it was much heavier than we needed. We needed to get it down to 100 pounds exactly. So we chipped some off. We took a grinder and we cut on it
Yeah.
until we got it exactly 100 pounds exactly, rock with frequencies.
Yep.
Never could make it any lighter. Well, one day we were messing around with the oscilloscope and we came up with some frequencies, and all of a sudden that block weighed 6 pounds less
Wow.
when we bombarded it with the frequency.
Wow.
What we do, we wrap the wire around the block. Okay.
Yep.
Now, when you wrap it around the block, you got to add that extra weight for the copper. All right.
Right.
But now just recently, this a month ago, I stumbled on two strange frequencies, and they're upper and lower parts. Okay. So that comes to 4 different frequencies, but the two
Okay.
was with the upper and higher. Okay. And I send them to my man there in the Philippines. And I said, try them on the block. Well, he tried the first one. Nothing. And it takes a long time to set it up, to get the wire wrapped and to do it just right. The third,
Mhm.
when he got to the third one, he was already discouraged. He
Mm.
said, "Oh, this is not going to work. This is the wrong frequencies." I says,
Yeah.
"No, try the last frequency." And when he tried the last frequency, when he turned on the frequency generator,
Yeah.
the block became 82 pounds.
82. Wow.
82 pounds. So we
That's significant. That's really significant.
that's a significant part. That's almost a 10% of the block, almost very
Yep.
close. So I'm gonna keep trying. Sooner or later, I'm gonna get the right one, and then we're gonna be able to pick up cars, and instead of a, a, a what do you call it, a belt to move them,
Oh yeah.
A
Yeah.
conveyor
able to
belt.
use frequency. and just put the frequencies, build them into the floor area where you can just push the stuff through. It's going to
Cool.
happen someday. And here's where it's going to be great for mankind. If we can get it so that we can get that block down to even half as much, even
Yep.
if it's only 50%. Imagine if you use it on a rocket ship going to outer space to carry a load.
Yep.
You see,
Yep.
you can carry 50% more load.
Yep.
Or you would use 50% less fuel with the same
Yep.
amount of load. So that's why I don't concentrate on just my generator. The generator is fine, but we got electricity in the world. You know, it's expensive. Yes, we get cheated. They overcharge us and all of that.
Yeah.
But when you think about how the world system of electricity operates, you realize nobody is going to come out with so-called free energy to make electricity, because they could sell it for a penny and make money. But the big guy, he's going to lose. He's going to go out of business, you see.
Yeah.
So it's not
Yeah.
going to work that way. The stock markets and the money control the world, whether
Yeah.
we like it or not. Okay.
Yeah.
So our idea for my generator is, when the time comes and they need before the power plants are all over the world, the nuclear, they're going to be needing electricity. Okay. We can still maybe get some of our power plants in different places around the world.
Yeah.
But
That's fantastic.
the way I'm going to do it, we can either finance it with our own money to build the power plant, or have a financer working with us to build it, and then we just sell the electricity. We don't sell the power plant.
Right. Awesome. Okay, James.
They'll
I think
never learn my frequencies. I don't trust them.
Yeah, you have
I'm
to
telling you
close
something
it.
right now. And those 5 frequencies right now, if I released them to the government, you would see weapons that you would not believe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
It's too dangerous.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah. There will be a time, though. There
Yeah.
will be a time, right? Yeah.
Well, it's so complicated that just us talking about it would take months and months of talking. I mean, that's how complicated the world is when it comes to electricity, because energy is a top of stock in the stock market.
Absolutely.
Energy, because without that, the rest is going to go to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah.
You see.
Well, how about next time we have you on, James, we can talk a little bit more about that, because we should probably wrap it up for today. And
Okay. Yes.
I'm so thankful that you came on, and
Very
and,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah. Thank you,
Well, I'm
Carmen,
glad
as
too,
well,
you know,
and Rija.
you got me thinking.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And you got me thinking about my old friend Paul, you know, and I really miss him, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
You old timers are few and far between nowadays. The real, the real guys who know the science and get in there and get their hands dirty. There's very few
Yeah.
of you left like that
Yeah.
that know
Um,
about these masters.
James, maybe if you were into it, we could actually have you at one of the meetings with the boys that
Okay.
meet with Paul and
Yeah.
that. They would love to hear
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
I need to cut it off. Yeah, I need to cut it off today. I got somebody calling me right now. That's
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
Saved
So
by
we
the
should
bell.
go. Yeah.
and
Okay. Well, thank you for everybody for the
it
very
was
first
nice.
episode.
It was nice meeting you, ladies.
thank
Yes.
you. Nice meeting you too.
Nice to meet you too, Licia.
Nice to meet you too as well, Carmen.
Yes.
You know,
Okay,
Cool.
Eddie, so look forward to number 2.
Yeah. Thank you again, everyone. And yeah, number 2 will be on its way.
19-year-old and I do. Okay.
Okay, take care,
Bye,
you guys.
everyone.
Bye-bye
Bye-bye.
now.
Now.